Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the November 25th, 2024 Administrative Services Committee meeting. Addie, could I get you to take the roll?
Cobb,
Present.
Petrus, Kuda.
Here.
And Councilmember Petrus is traveling, so he is excused. Also joining us this afternoon are Council members Gail Larson and Jim Posh. And also Anthony Maddox, who is participating by Zoom, and he'll just speak up when he needs to be recognized.
Absolutely.
Because you're behind me. For those of you that are watching, on our agenda, we're going to go into an executive session because we're going to be discussing some personnel matters related to our boards and commissions. And I don't know how long we'll be in an executive session. When we do come out, we'll just have a general discussion about end of year reappointment legislation for our various boards and committees, and then any other business. I would guesstimate we'll probably be in executive session at least 30 minutes. So if you want to grab a bite to eat or do something else for at least 30 minutes, please do that. Otherwise, you'll just be watching a green screen. And if I could now have that motion.
Okay, I move that we go into executive session to consider the appointment of a public official.
I will second that. And Addie, if you'll call the roll of the two.
Cobb.
Aye.
Kuda.
Aye.
Okay, we're now going into executive session. It is 4:02 p.m. Okay, we're back from executive session. It is 4:55 p.m. If anyone's watching, sorry, that went a little longer than I thought. The next item on the agenda is to discuss our end of year legislation concerning any reappointments that we're going to need to make to any of the boards, commissions, or committees.
Let me just go over. Landmark Commission, we've got one reappointment. CAC, we reappoint every year. We do need to replace one who is no longer going to be on the CAC, and that would be specifically for the Caledonia neighborhood.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Can we get something put out in the city's email about
In the newsletter,
specifically for
Caledonia.
the Caledonia neighborhood?
BZA reappointment, we have one. Commission on Aging, we have 6 reappointments, I believe, and 1 replacement that we need. So we do need applicants for Commission on Aging. We do have some.
We have some outstanding
yes.
applications.
Yes.
Let's contact those people first and then
see it full.
and then we'll, yeah,
And then Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, to be determined.
okay.
I will be doing these for the first meeting in January, if that's all right with you, instead of trying to fit them in towards the end of the year, since a lot of these expired 12/31 anyways. My second question is, several of our committees, especially the new 2, have in their ordinances, in the word I'm looking for is not there on the tip of my tongue, sorry guys. But they have specifically the terms end 12/31. The ones that do not are BZA, Commission on Aging, Landmark Commission, Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and Planning. I'd like to potentially have those ordinances amended to include that all terms end. Now, obviously, if there's a vacancy, you still fill it, they just fill out the rest of the term.
You like the 12/31 ending days for the whole committee
Yes,
or commission or board?
Commission, Board, yeah. It makes it more, it makes it easier to track.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It's because it's been quite a endeavor to try to get all these tracked properly.
Right. The one thing, some of these may be charter matters.
Correct.
So we'll have
That's
to
true.
take
We'll
a
have to
look at
see
that.
those, yeah. That would be, I think, what, BZA planning and BZA and planning, But I think the other ones, Parks and Rec, Landmark, and Commission on Aging are just ordinance based.
Yes.
What kind of a burden does that put on the Admin Services Committee and the Clerk of Council to look at all those folks on the 31st of would you start looking at them a couple months ahead of time?
Yes,
So you'd be ready to go?
Yes, exactly. Would have like a prep schedule
Okay.
basically of, and then I know when each
Yeah.
year. And at the beginning of the year, I would make a list of who's coming up at the end of that year.
And it would allow you to reach out to those folks and see if they wanna be reappointed as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's start looking at that. I'll give it some thought too. I just, the mechanics of that
Yeah, no, I understand.
could be difficult.
I also have a couple of things when I was looking through our ordinances. The Administrative Services Commission is apparently a thing, which I didn't know. I don't think.
There are some committees, commissions that, to my knowledge, have not been used
Right.
since I've been involved with anything having to do with the city.
Correct, and the Advisory Commission for Retired Senior Volunteer Program and the Community Improvement Awards Committee.
Which
Those
I
are the-
happen to notice the mayor is one of the appointments on his page, but we haven't given those awards out in I don't know how long.
Well, I thought right before COVID we did.
Yeah,
Did we? Was that the last
I
time?
think so.
let me also look up, cause
And did you ask about the Civil Service Commission? Was there an opening or?
there's not an opening,
Okay, then I don't understand why it was on that list.
not sure.
And then the Youth Recreation Advisory,
We
Or-
should really, I mean, for this year, I don't think it makes sense because we're halfway through the school year. But I think that we should probably put in a good push towards the end of this spring semester, get people to apply for the coming fall 2025. That would be my recommendation. Just didn't work, timing wise, just was really difficult this year.
and what's Councilmember Russell's expectation about the Administrative Services Committee's role, if any, in
That I'm
getting
not
those
sure.
appointments? That's a discussion I'll have with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it would be a good idea to probably not just put into the newsletter, but maybe reach out to principals of different
Well, that's what I was gonna
schools
say, recruitment
Yeah,
would have to, we need a partner
yes.
over at the school board, you know.
Well, and not just but it's not just the public schools, you'd have to talk to.
Well, I know.
Yeah,
Let's just say the schools.
the schools.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would be ideal, that would be a good way to go about that, I think. So,
Okay, any other business that we need to discuss now? If not,
So are any recommendations from is there anything we need to discuss in here as far as, we need some action by council
well, just a few things. This is a follow-up from
for this committee?
from our last meeting where we had all the board chairs and a couple of things. One, when we get the salary study done, we'll take a look at whether it would be appropriate to raise the stipend that we give on the boards that are currently receiving it. Not significantly, but it's, to my knowledge, hasn't been increased in some time, and also some consideration of also giving a stipend to the Landmark Commission as they're doing similar quasi-judicial work. Andy, if you get some downtime over the holidays, we need to look at, and I'll also spend some time doing this, some technology that we can utilize at all of these meetings, so there is at least a voice recording of every, at least of our committee meetings that's available for the public to review.
Okay.
Also, the discussion about each of, and again, I'm talking about the committees that council appoints to. if we can explore getting a master email address for them, that you would be the gatekeeper of it, because they don't wanna have individual
Right.
email addresses, and it probably wouldn't be
Wait.
a good thing.
Why do we need a voice? I mean, we have YouTube. I don't understand.
Well,
Well,
they're not necessarily for,
The committees the committees aren't.
right, the committees aren't, the planning commission, all that, I
Oh, you're not talking about
think it
this
would be
committee.
possible, but
Right,
no,
I'm
for-
talking about for the citizen committees that meet.
My bad.
Right.
I got
Like
it.
transportation and
Transportation,
mobility, environmental climate and sustainability, the recreation board, the senior advisory
Yeah.
board. I think it would be good to have a recording device, and I know that they're out there and available. I don't know how expensive they are.
And whatever the library uses, we should not use that. And it's really, really difficult to hear, so we gotta find something that's,
In the
Right.
meantime, I have instructed the Transportation Mobility and Climate and Environmental Sustainability to send you minutes, because they are keeping minutes, and those can be posted.
Yes.
Sunshine law training, is there a sunshine law manual floating around City Hall, do we know?
Well, they can go to the
Ohio
Attorney General's page, and they can sign up for free classes.
Yeah.
So there is free training available
All right.
virtually.
I know there
and
is
in
a
person.
manual, and then the memo that I just gave you, if you'll get that posted
Yes.
and get it out to all of the
Cheers.
the attendees at the meeting, they're all listed here.
and can we send something to Peter Gagolia regarding, maybe send these minutes out to him? Because he wasn't here, and that way, that'll cover all of the chairs.
Okay. And then we talked about some things like term limits. You recall most of the consensus was no, they wanted to have some experience and longevity on those. Uniform rules, everyone thought that their committees were unique to some extent. I know there was some difference of opinion about attendance. Councilmember Petrus seemed to think that there should be a rule, but most of the board chairpersons wanted to be within the discretion of the board person. And it doesn't sound like there's been much abuse about people not coming except CAC.
Oh,
I think
that's
we
good.
heard that they were only getting about half their members.
Well, they also are a very large group. So just to
Right.
put that out there.
But there's a reason for that, though.
Yes,
Yeah, they have a lot of work to do.
that's true.
I mean, that might be a board that, do you remember what the chair said? It was Patty, right?
Yes.
Did she specifically say I mean, I was hoping that one committee would be interested in having some kind of rule about attendance. Because what happens is, I mean, we all know what the purpose of the committee is, but we're not gonna cover the city if half the people aren't there.
So what,
You do have here a full complement is needed because of the workload, so I would assume that's something that
Right,
she
but
mentioned.
that's also the committee that only has 1-year appointments. So if she's got where people aren't coming,
She needs to tell us, yeah.
And so we will not reappoint them.
Right.
Because with only a year appointment, trying to fill these slots in a year, I don't know that it's worth it.
Right.
And she just needs to, we need to get a commitment from people when we appoint them that they're going to attend, and a promise from them that if they find that they can't, to resign.
Yeah.
I think that covered the highlights. So if anyone is still watching, we're gonna conclude the meeting. Happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for watching, and thank you, Gail, for coming.
You're welcome.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.